really great to help you destabilize the person, right? I push this guy into a wall. I push this guy into a car. I pull this guy into some bushes, right? Or that kind of a concept. Seize and attach. Okay, so for the person who more like a street application again, it's more to combine things together, right? So they may get a hold of you, but now they're going to try to hit you at the same time, right? They grab your apparel and then they try to smash you, right? Or they're pushing on you and hitting you at the same time, right? Or they grab you and they're pulling you to help to pull you to the ground, right? And that kind of thing. It's kind of the same thing, right? We're doing the same thing as it relates to that, but we want to make it a little bit more refined, right? It needs to have a purpose. It has a purpose, and then we're going to be able to think more clearly through the action and be able to, it has a beginning, it has an end, right? I've worked through this, we'll say several times. Lots, examples like neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist. The guy on the street, he doesn't necessarily have to be trained to intentionally do something. Unintentional, right? You're fighting with a guy and you know, maybe you try to drop him and he grabs your head, right? He's doing like a guillotine choke on you, or you know, he gets you like this, right? And it wasn't that he trains those techniques, but it's just a natural response. And it really is somewhat of a natural response to do. Doing other stuff like the shoulder, you know, maybe if, you know, it rolls your arm back or something like that. In other words, my point is, most of the locking, it's not something that the person on the street is trying to do, but it unintentionally happens because a lot of that is natural. But more than anything, it's head locks, right? Whether it's to the front or to the side or to the back or something like that. So it's great to be able to address that stuff. And over here on the other side, same thing. The core locks that you're going to do in a situation like that are going to be the neck, the shoulder, elbow, the wrist, that kind of stuff like that. And again, a lot of that stuff works better when the person is trying to grapple you. A lot of people in the street, that's not their intention. Their intention is to hit you. When they start grabbing and pushing and pulling, to them they don't see that as grappling. They see that as trying to dominate and control and force you to do something that they want you to do. When we get into trips and throws, again, intentional or unintentional. The person on the street, and they're, you know, they're all in their altercation, maybe they're in here and they're pushing and pulling and trying to hit you, and this leg just gets in the right spot. But I will say that things like throws where the leg looks like that, that's a real natural occurrence. Picking people up is a real natural, it's a natural thing. All right, it's like hitting somebody. It's much more natural to curl your fist up and hit somebody than it is to raise the leg up and do a, you know, or turn and do a spinning crescent kick. That's not natural. You know, it may be natural the way that you can make your body do it, but in the real world of what it's in our mind, volume of our fist to hit, grab, pull, push, and some fundamental things of picking a person up, or tripping their leg, or tripping their leg, those things are natural. Well, we want to, over here, we want to refine that stuff, right? That's what all of this is about. And what I mean by that is like, again, the trips and throws that they could potentially do are usually unintentional. Now, they may watch some UFC stuff and they see, you know, like a certain, you know, body slam or something like that, and then they add it to their content, right? It can happen. That's why we want to be very versed to be able to strike and do at least some stand-up grappling, the idea of that, so we can maintain our mobility. So anyway, as it relates to that, again, we want to refine our throwing, and we want to be able to definitely be able to do combinations and counters. The reason why is the guy that does the natural outer leg hook piece like that, I need to be able to, when he hooks my leg, I need to be able to neutralize that or be able to counter it with another throw, right? Or if I try to execute a throw and then he's using too much force or something like that that I can't handle, I need to be able to modify that by, like, I try something this way, and it's, he puts too much force in it, so I turn the other way and I throw it the other way by borrowing his energy. That is refining and developing these natural responses, right? That's what it all boils down to. So follow-on attack. So what is that? There's always been that. It's very natural approach to this stuff. The person that gets knocked on the ground in some way. Either they get thrown down, they get hit, they get knocked down, they get pushed or pulled, they get tripped, they fall down, whatever it may be, but it's the follow-on. And I'm going to preface this with, if you're in an altercation with somebody, I'm in Texas, so I don't know about where you live at or what have you, but if you were in a fight and you knocked the guy to the ground and then you kept stomping on him or you kept attacking him in such a way to cause additional bodily injury. It's another thing maybe if I threw him down and I tried to control him, right? My knee is in his torso and I'm holding his arm and I'm not really beating on him, but I'm just trying to control him. I doubt that you would get potentially have an issue with that. But again, if I threw him and I pinned him and I just kept beating him in the face or something like that, probably not going to go over well in self-defense anymore. It's now you're the become the aggressor, and potentially you're going to get in trouble with the law, and potentially civilly you can get sued. So I don't really recommend that unless it's just some type of a life-threatening situation that you feel a need to keep attacking like that. And then the hardest part of that part is like when you go, say the person gets thrown on the ground. It's not just this, but a lot of the stuff on the street, people are going to come through and follow through with boot kicks, stomps, and things like that. And again, that's where you can really, really hurt somebody. And again, if it's a life-threatening situation, they're trying to kill you, and you feel you need to not just put them on the ground so that they're there and I'm standing up, and so now they're no longer a threat to me. But now they were trying to kill me, they're still probably going to try to kill me. Then, well, maybe I need to apply more to that. But that is, you really need to determine that for yourself. I'm not going to say that that's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do or something to that effect. It would be the scenario, but at the same time, just remember, if they're on the ground now, and you're stomping on them or you're pounding on them, you've now become the aggressor, and you're overwhelming them. Now, maybe that's good or bad. That's for the person to decide. So, if you think about it, whether you what I teach is Chong's method, right? We do a system of Tai Chi, and then we do some other form content from other systems of traditional Chinese martial arts, and then we also do Shuai Jiao. And then there's sports that evolve around that. We would take people, or taken people to compete in the past for Shuai Jiao, the wrestling aspect of it, right? So competition, taking people to compete in Europe, and here in the US, and things like that. And with the Sanda, which is full contact, kicking and punching and throwing people, and taking people to compete in that here in the US and in Asia. And so those are sports, right? What I'm getting at is like, all of this stuff kind of merges together in the fundamental strategy of it. But what the person does on the street, I want to be able to complement that, and at the same time, I want to be able to advance upon it, right? So what the system that I do is taught to me by my teacher, and his teacher was Master Chong, which was his Sifu and my Qigong. We very much do these same things, right? We're going to either, if we feel that there's an impending attack, we're going to elicit or preemptively attack the person. We're going to use kicks and strikes to either take them out, or we're going to utilize those movements to gain an attachment, and then from the attachment, the lock or just an attachment or a lock of some sort. Right? I'll hyperextend his arm and I strip his leg, right? Or I lock his head and I throw him from the lock. That kind of stuff, right? I follow through with throws, and then from the throws, then I'm going to, if I don't feel that was, enough, then I'm going to try to pin or strike or kick afterwards. And the kicking, like if I throw the person, I want to maintain control of them when they fall. If I become disengaged to them and I feel like they're still trying to come at me, that's when I'm utilizing kicks and stomps and things like that. So if you look at mixed martial art, it's kind of the same kind of concept, right? You're trying to use kicks and strikes to get an attachment to the person, either for hitting them or to get a hold of them. From there, you do throws or sacrifice throws. From there, you take the person to the ground. Now, I will say that, something like that, there would probably be more grappling on the ground, of course. And, that would again depend on the scenario, right? Mobility and all of that. Do I need to do that? Does he have a buddy or a couple of buddies there? Is it a situation to where this might be better for me just to do a couple of kicks and punches and throw this guy and get out of it, right? You have to determine that. But anyway, my point is, as relates to the street, of course, the person is not as skillful to do all of these different fighting methods, right? But don't underestimate them in their ability to do those things. I would say where they're the most limited is not in the striking per se, to strike you, or maybe a method to do that. But probably striking is number one to them. Grabbing a hold of somebody, pushing and pulling them, and somehow, however they fell to the ground, and then follow on attacking them. And that is where you're going to get the most hurt, I feel personally. Other than, somebody hits you in the head, they sucker punch you, or they're standing in front of you, they hit you in the head, and you fall and you hit your head on the concrete, or the curb, or hit your head on a car, or something like that. We want to simplify that act. We don't want to, again, you're not in there sparring with the guy for 2 or 3 minutes in a street altercation. It's not like in the movies, right? In the movie, and then the guy's in a fight with this guy for, he's going on for 6 to 8 minutes in the movie, and heck, think about the level of cardio